HBO's Harry Potter series is coming into clear focus, and they did the thing. They did the thing. All of the rumors have in fact been confirmed, from McGonagall to Dumbledore to Quirrell to Filch. And of course, the headline of them all. Okay, let's take a look at the little collage that Variety has put together. Okay, because you got John Lithgow as Dumbledore, which, okay, if you're going to be introducing American actors, okay, you could have done worse. Okay, he's going to be pretty good in the role. And if he's the more, which, okay, we're going to have to delve into this a little bit later in the video, but if he's going to tell a more source material accurate Dumbledore, who's a little bit more level-headed and not quite so wild as Michael Gambon's interpretation in the, latter half of the Harry Potter movies, he could be very good at it. Okay, McGonagall's actress is she definitely looks the part. Okay, and then you got Nick Frost as Hagrid, which is very good casting as well. And then you got Quirrell right there, which I could totally imagine. It's just how are they going to approach a white guy with a turban? That's going to be a funny thing. And then okay, cool. You got Argus Filch. Okay, obviously you remember him. He's the groundskeeper at Hogwarts, right? He's going to be taking over for Walder Frey, if you recall, but everybody's original movie casting counterparts, they all cast gigantic shadows. Okay, John Lithgow, he's the only one that's on the same level as the guy, and that's probably doing a disservice to the great careers that, Richard Harris and the previously mentioned Michael Gambon also had, but he could definitely, step into that role. Okay, beyond a shadow of a doubt. That's pretty on par casting. That's right there. Okay, but the chick for Jenna McTeer, okay, Tumbleweeds, the White Queen, but she's gonna be playing Professor McGonagall. You're stepping into the shoes that Maggie Smith had. God, that's a big old shadow that you cast right there. Nick Frost coming in for Robbie Coltrane to be Hagrid. I mean, that's pretty iconic stuff right there. It's he's the guy for the role, and it's probably another fair casting right there. But you're probably noticing that I'm leaving out one specifically, because that right there, that's kind of a deal breaker for a lot of people. Okay, you got your Snape cast. All of the rumors were in fact true, and we've got Snape Dog, ladies and gentlemen. We got Black Snape. Paapa Essiedu will be Severus Snape, because HBO and Warner Brothers cannot help themselves. For all of the gripes that Harry Potter fans had with Alan Rickman being cast, he's too old, he's too good looking. Where are you going to be at this time around? Where are you going to be at this time around with Paapa Essiedu? Where are you going to be? Okay, because the way that this series was pitched was, we're going to be able to take one season of television, and we're going to be able to take one of J.K. Rowling's books and extrapolate it on, telling that story the way that the movies never could have, in the 2.5, close to 3 hours for some of those later films, never could have approached. Okay, because as the series went on, because they used to be of manageable size. Okay, and I never read any of the books, and hell, even when the books were coming out, they were super popular. I was born 1990. It was the most popular thing going on at the time when I was in late elementary and into middle school. I remember when Goblet of Fire first came out, and that shit was running wild. Those gigantic books were everywhere. And I've said this before. I'm actually, quite a big fan of the latter half of the movies. I've got to run those back here, and especially hearing all of this nonsense right now really, makes me want to refresh my memory. I recall not liking, Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. Azkaban, I continue to waffle on, but everything after that I like quite a bit. And from Half-Blood Prince and the 2 Deathly Hallows movies, I went to the midnight releases of them. Okay, I'm a reasonable sized fan of the movies. Don't know too much about the source material, but I really like those films. I really, really appreciate the world that crazy ass J.K. Rowling brought to life, and I was super hyped by this. But the little bit of extrapolated knowledge, and hell, even just going back to what I think is the most underrated film, The Half-Blood Prince, we know what's going to end up happening, and we know the story that is going to get elaborated on with Severus Snape and how he was mistreated by James Potter. And a lot of people are thinking, okay, cool, well, maybe they're going to have to make some changes, because obviously they're making some changes right here. And even though HBO and Warner Brothers came out and said that this is going to be a more faithful adaptation of the source material, some people are thinking, oh no, they're going to have to change some things because James, being outright racist, we can't really have that. Okay, what is the one thing that Hollywood hates more than straight white guys? That would be fathers, ladies and gentlemen. and specifically Warner Brothers, because with the stupid Minecraft movie, it's so funny, right? Those two superfluous kids that are supposed to be the main characters, I don't know, does anybody remember their names? Yeah, exactly. The only reason that they end up in the conundrum that they are is because it was their mother's dying wish that they moved to this goofy-ass town. Fathers need not apply, need not even be mentioned. They are so ancillary to any story that is being told right now in today's day and age for the modern audience. They need not exist. So yeah, of course, James Potter being an outright racist and a bigot, oh, of course, man, they're going to have that in there. And that shit, as dated as it is today, in 5, 6, 7 years time is going to look even more egregious. Because you know that all of these retards over there at Warner Brothers, at HBO, trying to tell this story, the hacks trying to justify this stuff. Oh, you know, this is going to make Severus a much more sympathetic character. You know, when Neville Longbottom has to do the Boggart test and he professes the thing that he's most scared of is Snape, we're going to have that uncomfortable conversation about unconscious bias. It's just gonna fucking suck. HBO is officially confirming the first cast members of the Harry Potter TV series. The cast now includes the following series regulars: John Lithgow as Albus Dumbledore, Janet McTeer as Minerva McGonagall, Paapa Essiedu as Severus Snape, Nick Frost as Rubeus Hagrid. It had previously been reported that all 4 actors were in talks for the show. Luke Fallon has joined as a recurring role of Professor Quirrell. I'm not going to be able to pronounce that first name, okay? Quinerius, whatever, man. Guy who's only going to be around for 1 season. It's recurring thing, okay? I'm not spoiling too much how the revolving door of the defense against the dark arts teacher, begins with Quirrell. And then Paul Whitehouse will appear, as Argus Filch, which from what I hear, he has a bigger role in the books, but they're obviously with castings, doing a race swap on one of your most integral characters, that just already speaks to, we're going to pick and choose what we want to actually adapt. We're happy to announce the casting of Lithgow, McTeer, Essiedu, Frost, Fallon, Whitehouse, as to play everybody: Francesca Gardner, showrunner and executive producer, and Mark Malloy, a director of multiple episodes and executive producer. We're delighted to have such extraordinary talent on board, and we can't wait to see them bring these beloved characters to life. Yeah, exactly. It's when are we going to finally have that conversation about, showrunners like this, writers like Sarah Hess for House of the Dragon, inserting her own feminist bullshit into a story that is, if you just go ahead and adapt it the way that it is, obviously there's gender politics at play, but it's a little bit more subtle, as opposed to, it's alright if I just kill a bunch of women by Kool-Aid Manning through the floor of the dragon pits, but it's not my war to end, because I wouldn't do anything untowards with another mother. She's an idiot. And Amanda Overton for Arcane, her biggest priority was getting Caitlin and Vi to do some sticky stuff in a cell while Jinx is off trying to blow herself up. That was the most pressing thing that she needed to do, as opposed to not character assassinating everybody in that fucking show in the 2nd season. When are we finally going to have that conversation that, prior to these writers' room, these creative meetings being subverted by a bunch of talentless hacks for the needs of DEI and Title IX type shit? When are we going to be able to specifically point to a drastic drop-off in quality since then? But apparently it's not this day. No. We still have a lot of garbage to comb through. But hey, the likes of the Daily Mirror, okay? The Mirror, they found a bunch of people that are super excited about, the casting of John Lithgow. Oh my God. See, that one was a hard decision because they didn't want to bring in like an outsider for the first time, bro. They didn't want that. HBO has officially announced the cast of the upcoming Harry Potter TV adaptation, sparking a flurry of reactions from fans online. John Lithgow shared his thoughts on the casting during an interview with Screen Rant. Well, it came as a total surprise to me. I got the phone call at the Sundance Film Festival for yet another film. And that's not an easy decision because it's going to define me for the last chapter of my life. I'm afraid. Well, yeah, because I'll be 87 years old at the wrap party, but I said yes. Oh boy, we're going to end up in a similar Dumbledore situation. As more cast members were revealed, online chatter quickly, intensified. Reactions on Reddit and other fan forums range from curiosity and support to skepticism. It's going to be hard to replace Hagrid with McGonagall. We grew up with two of the most perfect castings. But I'm more excited than I thought. I'd be hearing Nick Frost as Hagrid. He's got big shoes to fill. Paul Whitehouse as Filch is just perfect simplicity at its finest. The reputation of the Marauders is about to go into the toilet. Oh no! Remember when they said it was going to be book-accurate adaptation? Pepperidge Farm remembers a fan poking fun at the earlier claims regarding the show's adherence to the original novels. Well, yeah, exactly. That's about as close as you want to get. But yeah, well, HBO has kept mum on who will portray the iconic trio of, Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley. I will bet my last bottom fucking dollar now that the rumors of Paapa Essiedu's Black Snape have in fact been confirmed and shown for the world to see. Get ready for an Indian Hermione and a Black Weasley family. They would not be so stupid as to race or sexuality swap Harry Potter, but we're going to have an out and proud Dumbledore. I'll fucking take that guess to the bank. And yeah, one of the Trinity is getting race swapped because it already happened to Hermione in that god-awful play. I think that is for certain. But the Weasleys being redheads, we know what Hollywood likes to do with redheads, okay? So I also think he's going to be on the chopping block to tell a more, a modern story, to have an update on something that is very clearly dated material, very evidently so. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about Essiedu's casting here. Paapa Essiedu, acclaimed for his roles in I May Destroy You and Gangs of London. Well, yeah, I guess switching in his machete for a wand, has been cast as Severus Snape. Essiedu is an interesting pick for a number of obvious reasons. One of which, might be his age, 34. Essiedu also perhaps looks younger than his age, combined with other factors of the choice, and one wonders how audiences will react. The series is helmed by Francesca Gardner, his Dark Materials, I've never heard of that before, and director Mark Mylod, sure, Succession. Okay, heard about that. It fell off a cliff. But serving as executive producers, Rowling also returns as an executive producer, and boy, has she been quiet about all this stuff, alongside Neil Blair, Ruth Kenley Letts, and David Heyman and others. Yeah, whatever, man. So just give us the casting of the kids. We still have a bunch of other roles that need to be filled right here, but it's going to be funny, right? Are we going to get a race swap? Dean Thomas? Is Cho Chang going to still be Asian when it's all said and done? You bet your bottom fucking dollar, because this shit only goes in one direction, and it's never in service of a story that you're telling. It's to use it as a way to wedge in your modern day talking points. And I went from being super excited about this to being completely and totally disinterested. God, there is nothing left that I love that hasn't been destroyed, huh? Harry Potter was like the one franchise that remained, even with those awful Fantastic Beasts movies. It didn't really detract from the overall core narrative. But this right here, you did it. Fantastic stuff. The destruction is complete. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.